episodio es descrito como dux atque princeps de los deteriores. Es el ejemplo viviente de los vicios que a ellos se adjudican y en este sentido supera todo lo imaginable. Cicerón menciona los 3 ámbitos a los que se incorpora todo ser humano al nacer: sus padres, sus dioses, su patria, que son asimismo las 3 esferas en las que se ejerce la pietas, entendida como el conjunto de obligaciones para con los miembros de la familia, las divinidades y los conciudadanos. Cicerón sostiene que Clodio ha transgredido las reglas de los 3 ámbitos en distintas oportunidades. Al ser adoptado por Fontello en el 59, ingresó al orden plebeyo, proceso por medio del cual renunció a la gens Claudia, a la que pertenecía por nacimiento. El episodio de los sacrificios de la Bona Dea y el recuerdo del incendio del templo de las ninfas en el Campo Marcio dan cuenta de sus atropellos a la vez en la esfera religiosa y en la política y social. Las ceremonias de la Bona Dea se celebraban en la casa de un magistrado romano, con la participación de mujeres de estatus social destacado, y el templo de las ninfas albergaba registros públicos que supuestamente Clodio deseaba destruir. Se observa por consiguiente que la categoría de deteriores se opone a la de optimates en un sentido mucho más amplio que la de populares. No se trata de una oposición estrictamente política, sino que involucra un espectro más amplio. Incluye no solo la pertenencia a tal o cual sector social o la simpatía con tal o cual grupo político, sino principalmente la observancia de ciertas normas religiosas que repercuten en la vida comunitaria de los romanos. Esta centralidad de las normas religiosas había sido expresada previamente sobre el final del párrafo 19. Los párrafos 18-19, recordemos, tenemos estos párrafos y luego viene el comentario de Cicerón del Responsum. Cicerón se refiere a cuestiones generales como el rol de los mayores en el establecimiento de las prácticas religiosas, la utilidad de la doctrina etrusca y la certeza sobre la existencia de los dioses. Y culmina con una apreciación sobre la identidad romana que también está en el handout al final. Dice: pese a que, oh senadores, nosotros mismos nos apreciemos cuanto queramos, sin embargo, ni en número hemos superado a los hispanos, ni en robustez a los galos, ni en habilidad a los púnicos, ni en las ciencias a los griegos, ni finalmente a los propios itálicos y a los latinos en ese mismo sentimiento doméstico y nativo de su pueblo. Pero, en piedad, pietas, y en religión, y en esta única certeza que percibimos que todas las cosas son regidas y gobernadas por la voluntad de los dioses, hemos superado a todas las gentes y a todas las naciones. Pietas y religio son, pues, para Cicerón, los rasgos centrales de la identidad romana. Entre las muchas definiciones de identidad, consideramos la propuesta por el antropólogo Jan Assmann en Das kulturelle Gedächtnis, Schrift, Erinnerung und politische Identität in frühen Hochkulturen. Assmann define la identidad colectiva como una imagen con la cual los miembros de la comunidad se sienten identificados. El concepto de identidad se refiere al modo como los individuos se ven a sí mismos como miembros de un grupo sobre la base de un comportamiento similar al de otros miembros de un grupo. Es un proceso dinámico, sujeto a variación y a cambio, por el hecho de que la identidad siempre es socialmente construida. Cuando Cicerón dice que los romanos han sobrepasado a todas las demás naciones en pietas y religio, se refiere a una imagen colectiva de sí mismos con la cual los miembros de su audiencia se sienten identificados. Consideramos que esta definición de identidad expresada en el párrafo 19 no puede leerse en forma aislada, como una reflexión desgajada del resto del discurso, sino que, por el contrario, debe entenderse a la luz de los objetivos del texto en su totalidad. Cicerón establece aquí el respeto a las leyes religiosas y a las tradiciones de los ancestros como un elemento central que define a los romanos. Y luego, al desarrollar la interpretación de la respuesta de los arúspices en los párrafos 20 a 39, se ocupa de señalar en todas y cada una de sus partes que Clodio ha perpetrado un delito de orden religioso. la profanación de juegos rituales, la irrupción en los sacrificios de la bona dea, la devastación de santuarios, el asesinato de embajadores y la violación de pactos son todas faltas cometidas en contra de los dioses. Si se toma en cuenta la definición enunciada en 19 al examinar la interpretación del texto de los arúspices, se observa fácilmente que Cicerón no solo adscribe a Clodio al grupo de los deteriores por oposición al de Optimates, sino que incluso lo relega a un lugar de no romano o de antirromano, dado que no posee los rasgos de pietas y religio que se consideran elementos excluyentes de esa identidad. Si no obedece los preceptos de los mayores, si viola las leyes más sagradas, si no respeta ni a sus conciudadanos ni a los dioses, Clodio no puede ser considerado plenamente como perteneciente a la categoría de romano. En síntesis, puede apreciarse que Clodio es representado por Cicerón una y otra vez como un personaje marginal. Nacido en el seno de una gens ilustre, ha optado por salir de ella en pos de un lugar entre los populares. Siendo varón, ha obtenido fama por participar de un ritual femenino con atuendos de mujer. Miembro del colegio de los Quindequinguir y Sacris Faciundis, viola una y otra vez toda norma religiosa. Y aún teniendo un comportamiento dudoso, se atreve a acusar a Cicerón de ser el responsable de la ira divina. Su conducta se desvía una y otra vez de los mores maiorum, el código ético de los cives boni, lo cual lo aleja incluso de lo humano y de lo racional. La locura que exhibe en su comportamiento no es más que el castigo divino por sus desviaciones morales. El hecho de que Cicerón lo trate como un no romano no es más que un corolario a su esencia desplazada y marginal. Conclusión. En este trabajo hemos analizado en primer lugar el modo en que Cicerón propone una interpretación de la respuesta de los arúspices a través de la elaboración de una invectiva contra Clodio. El señalamiento de sus defectos y vicios y la mención de episodios en que se comportó de manera repudiable son las principales herramientas para erigirlo como referente del pronunciamiento de los sacerdotes etruscos, en tanto responsable de la ruptura de la Pax Deorum. En segundo lugar, y pasando de la explicación de los portentos a las advertencias sobre el futuro, Clodio es nuevamente presentado como el agente de la discordia entre los optimates que debe subsanarse y evitarse. Para ello, Cicerón lo ubica en el grupo de los ciudadanos deteriores mencionados por los arúspices, aquellos que conspiran contra la concordia y la vida en comunidad, por oposición al de los optimates, del que él, Cicerón, sí forma parte. Hemos observado que esta categoría no involucra solamente la esfera de la política, sino que se aplica a un ámbito más amplio que incluye las conductas morales y religiosas. Finalmente, regresar a los conceptos enunciados por Cicerón en el párrafo 19, en los que señala la pietas y la religio como la quinta esencia de la romanidad, nos ha permitido comprender que en este discurso existe una configuración de Clodio como extranjero, como no romano, en virtud de que atenta contra aquello que conforma el núcleo de la identidad romana, definida como aquella que encarnan los boni cives, respetuosos de los mores maiorum y preocupados por la concordia social. El discurso de Aruspicum Responso, a pesar de haber sido elaborado con la finalidad inmediata de responder a las acusaciones de Clodio, creemos debe ser tenido en cuenta en el corpus de los textos de Cicerón, en que la cuestión de la identidad romana es puesta como objeto de análisis y discusión. Bueno, eso es todo. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Emilia. It's yes, a brilliant exposition, really, of the high stakes of this speech and of the many problems that it throws at us.
Yes.
English summary. Thank you very
English
much.
summary, yes. In 56 BC, a series of omena or prodigies takes place not far from Rome. Frightened of this event, the Senate consults the haruspices with the purpose of finding its meaning. The haruspices deliver a responsum in which they indicate human behavior that has broken the Pax Deorum and give forewarnings about the near future. Publius Claudius takes advantage of this occasion, and in the context of a contio, he declares that the divine message refers to Cicero, who recently arrived from his exile and has polluted a sacred place when rebuilding his house in the place where a temple to Libertas formerly stood. The speech De Haruspicum Picum Responsum is Cicero's answer to these ideas spread by Claudius. The orator first discredits that interpretation and then presents his own reading of the responsum, in which Claudius is the main responsible for the god's anger and the author of the discord among the optimates that the haruspices have announced. In essence, Cicero's argument is an invective against Claudius, in which the description of his vices and faults contributes to present him as the reason why Rome is threatened with such great dangers. In response of the haruspices, the response of the haruspices is organized in two main sections. On the one hand, the compilation of the reasons behind the omena. On the other hand, the warnings and advices that the gods give to the Romans. According to the responsum, the incidents that have caused the prodigies near Rome are the following: the desecration of games, the destruction of consecrated sites, the murder of ambassadors, the breaking of oaths, and the violation of ancient and secret sacrifices. In each case, Cicero first reads aloud the sentence as formulated by the haruspices, and then proceeds to make comments about them. His immediate purpose is to dismiss the interpretation that Publius Claudius has proposed. The popular leader has explained that the sentence loca sacra et religiosa profana haberi points to a sacrilege committed by Cicero. It should be remembered that, on Claudius' orders, a temple to the goddess Libertas had been built in the land that Cicero once owned on the Palatine Hill before his exile. After his return in August 57 BC, the restitution of his properties was decreed by the Senate with the consent of the pontifices. Cicero therefore removed the temple and rebuilt his house. Despite the fact that in the Domus Sua, Cicero has proved that he was not to blame for the destruction of the temple, since it had been erected without the proper ritual procedures, Publius Claudius takes advantage of the omens and the answer of the haruspices in order to mount an attack against his opponent. Cicero begins his speech by mentioning this accusation, and then he displays a set of arguments and evidence in order to prove his innocence, arguing that not only the Senate but also the Assembly of the Centuries and the College of Pontiffs have absolved his house from sanctity. After this first section, Cicero turns to present his own reading of the responsum, according to which the agent of every impious action pointed out by the gods is Claudius himself. In the desecration of games, the gods say that there has been some kind of negligence and or corruption while some ritual games were taking place. From Cicero's viewpoint, they refer to the megalesia performed in honor of the great mother Cybele every year in April. In the latest celebration, Claudius had burst into the theater, followed by a violent horde of slaves. In the destruction of consecrated sites, this is the part of the responsal that Claudius has used against Cicero. And the orator rejects the accusation once more before he says that the gods are actually speaking about Claudius' house, which he had obtained after murdering its former owner, Quintus Seius, an excellent citizen. In that house, there was a small shrine and an altar that Claudius tore down. In addition, Cicero mentions the violation of sacred places by people committed by people closely related to Claudius, such as his brother Appius and his friends Lucius Piso and Sextus Serranus. The murder of ambassadors. Cicero begins his reflection on this item by stating, "I see that it is popularly referred to the Alexandrian legates, and I do not gainsay the opinion." He refers to an episode of his recent past, that his audience knows well, and that they can easily relate to the responsum of the Etruscan priests. In 57 BC, Berenice, queen of Egypt, had sent an embassy to Rome because her brother Ptolemy Auletes wanted to be restored to his throne. Dio, the leader of the delegation, was poisoned while staying at Luceus, a supporter of Pompey. The breaking of oaths. Cicero suggests that this refers to the multiple episodes of corruption in which Claudius had been involved. He points especially to the crime of bribery, thanks to which Claudius managed to be absolved during the trial of the Bonadia scandal. Violation of the ancient and secret sacrifices. Cicero suggests that they allude to Claudius' involvement to the Bonadia rituals. In December 62 BC, during the celebration at Julius Caesar's house, Claudius was surprised leaving the place dressed as a woman. The Bonadia cult was very ancient and almost exclusively for women, and therefore occultum, and that allows an interpretation according to which the events of 62 BC are referred by the last part of the responsum. Throughout Cicero's reading of the text by the haruspices, Claudius is presented, time after time, as guilty of the rupture of the Pax Deorum. Cicero then turns to discuss the warnings given by the gods regarding the near future. They invite to end the discord among the optimates, they advise against the rise of evil citizens, and they encourage care for the well-being of the republic. Claudius is described as thus, acte princeps among deteriores. That is, he is the living example of every vice and sin that characterize them, and in this sense, he surpasses everything imaginable. Cicero mentions the three spheres or groups that every human being joins as soon as she or he is born: parents, gods, and homeland. There are also three spheres in which pietas is exercised, if we understand it as the set of obligations to one's relatives, divinities, and fellow citizens. Cicero shows that Claudius has infringed norms of the three fields. The Bonadia scandal, as well as the memory of the burning of the shrine of the nymphs, are proof of his outrageous behavior both in the religious and in the political and social spheres. The Bonadia rituals were celebrated at the house of a very important Roman magistrate, and only women of distinguished social status participated in them. The shrine of the nymphs was the house of public registers that Claudius supposedly wanted to destroy. The importance of religious norms had been outlined earlier. Pietas and religio are the core elements of Roman identity. Jan Assmann defines collective identity as the picture with which the members of the community feel identified. The concept of identity refers to the way in which individuals see themselves as members of a group, based on how their behavior is similar to that of others in the group. When Cicero says that Romans have surpassed every nation in pietas and religio, he refers to a collective picture of themselves with which the members of his audience feel identified. Cicero states here that the respect for religious norms and for the traditions of the ancestors are a hallmark of the Romans, and later, when presenting his reading of the responsum, underlines that Claudius has shown an outrageous behavior regarding religio, violating ritual games, entering the Bonadia cult, destroying shrines, killing ambassadors, and breaking oaths. These are all crimes against the gods. If he refuses to obey the norms of the ancestors, if he violates the most sacred rules, if he does not respect either his fellow citizens nor the gods, he is not to be considered a proper Roman. In sum, it can be appreciated that Claudius is configured by Cicero as a marginal character. Born within an illustrio gens, he has chosen to abandon it in order to get a place among the populares. Although he is a man, he has become famous for participating in a feminine ritual dressed up as a woman. Even when he is a member of the College of the Quindecimviri Sacris Fatiundis, he violates every religious norm time after time. Despite his suspicious and shameful style, he dares to accuse a fine citizen such as Cicero of being responsible for the god's wrath. His behavior separates him from the ethical code of the Mores Maiorum that characterizes the Cives Boni, which in turn transforms him in a non-human, non-rational being. The fact that Cicero describes him as a non-Roman is nothing but a corollary of his marginal and displaced identity. Claudius is presented as the agent of discord among the Optimates that must be repaired and avoided. In order to do so, Cicero places him among the citizens that the Etruscan priests called deteriores, those who threaten social harmony, opposed to the group of the Optimates, to which Cicero himself belongs. It has been observed that, when talking about Optimates and deteriores, Cicero refers not to political categories, but to a wider spectrum that involves moral and religious issues. It has been considered the importance given to pietas and religio as quintessential features of Roman identity, in order to conclude that Claudius is configured throughout the speech as a non-Roman, as a foreigner, due to the fact that he threatens the basic principles of Roman identity that are embodied by the Boni Civis, that respect the mores maiorum and maintain social concord. Even though the speech, the Harus Picum Responso, is not a philosophical text, but was composed for an immediate concern, it must be considered among the texts in which Roman identity is a matter of reflection and discussion. Thank you, Professor, for the wonderful text in English.
Excellent, thank you very much. I think it makes sense to open the floor for questions at this stage. Questions in the first place, of course, to Maria Emilia about Maria Emilia's paper. I think some of us are already seeing a number of connections with problems, issues that were discussed yesterday in yesterday's papers, and it might perhaps be also an opportunity to ask questions that people didn't get around to asking yesterday, if they want to. So, without further ado, floor open to questions in English or Portuguese.
Alguém quer fazer alguma pergunta em português ou em inglês?
Valentina.
Thank you so much. It was really fascinating. I was wondering, to what extent do you think the presentation of Claudius by Cicero is really, it's more the result of rhetorical strategies, so essentially a different form of invective where religio plays a considerable part, and to what extent instead we can think about this idea of religious identity as really part of the wider makeup of the late Republic. So to what extent essentially is Cicero creating this picture in his personal fight, or and as his own creation, or rather he's able to do that because he's able there to play on and manipulate shared ideas.
Shall I answer in English?
Sure. And if you wish, I can translate afterwards, no problem.
I think I started by making a summary of the context of the speech, because I think you cannot read this speech without the historical context and the context of the fight between Cicero and Claudius, which was a personal fight also because of the Bonadea scandal and everything. So I think we know that Cicero, throughout his career, he always fought for a place among the optimates, a place that he had to create for himself due to the fact that he was not from an illustrious gens. He was a self-made man, in a way. So I think that in religion and in respect for traditions, he has found an element with which put himself in the center of Roman identity and Roman essence. It's not useful for him to say that Romans are only those who were born in Rome, or to say that Romans are those who come from patrician families. So what's the essence of Romanitas in a way that allows him to belong to that group And I think in religion he finds a good element, a good aspect, a good sphere to present as the core element of Roman religion. And by doing so, he allows himself to be part of that identity and to exclude Claudius, because Claudius, there are no other reasons for excluding him. So by showing that his opponent is not right when he says what he says about the response, because he never respects religious norms, I think it's both. It's, on the one side, it's a rhetorical strategy, but on the other side, this belongs to a more extent, to a bigger discussion in Cicero's text, that I think it has to do with that, to find a way of presenting Roman identity in a way that he belongs to that, and to, I think, to acknowledge a variety inside Roman identity, and to say, well, religion is the one unifying element for all the type of good citizens that we have. I don't know if I'm answering right.
Yeah. Vocês querem uma tradução? Sim. Então, a professora disse o seguinte, que o Cícero buscou durante a sua carreira essa sensação de pertencimento à identidade romana. E como ele não era de uma gens ilustre, ele era o que ela chamou de um self-made man, uma pessoa que se fez sozinha. Então, ele buscava elementos da identidade romana que ele pudesse utilizar para que ele pertencesse a essa identidade romana. E ele encontrou isso através da religião. Então, ele usa, ela diz que esse texto, sim, é uma estratégia retórica de ataque a um inimigo pessoal, mas é também uma discussão maior, onde ele discute o que é qual é o aspecto unificante da identidade romana, que no caso ele considera ser a religião, e como isso pode ser utilizado para que ele pertença a essa identidade. Okay.
More questions? Oh, sorry, Valentina, go ahead. Yeah. Yes. Sorry, you're right in the front row.
Feel free. Yes.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Please.
So that means you must raise your hand higher. Yes.
No, I didn't want to overdo it. The other thing that came to my mind is that perhaps, to what extent do you think essentially that there is really a kind of a dichotomy between the religion and politics, not only for Cicero but also for Claudius? Because in a way, if you think about the Bonadeas scandal, the year before, when the Bonadea took place, the rituals took place in the house of Cicero's wife, the flames were divided, and the wife of Cicero told him, that's a sign that you go ahead and you can be the harem, etc. And therefore, one could, in theory at least, even interpret Claudius' behavior later on as a statement to undermine Cicero's actions in relation to the Capillinarians. Now, this is really not me, this is a reading 40 years ago, which I, however, always found quite fascinating. I mean, I think quite plausible in the sense that it would make sense rather than having this random patrician who all of a sudden decided to violate these sacred rights. I think it's Plutarch who says he had an affair with Caesar's wife.
Yes.
And I always thought, if you have an affair with someone's wife, you certainly don't go to the house, when lots of women are there, and you tend to be a bit more secretive about it. So, it seems to be not that implausible. But if you connect that to the year before, and so what was happening in the Capillinarians, etc., and then you can actually have a trajectory that makes sense. And then there is the issue of the temple of Juventus, the violation of the provocatio. So I wonder whether not only for both actually, for Cicero and Claudius, perhaps there is in this understanding of public religion, there is much more intertwined relation between the two spheres.
Yes, I don't think they are totally separated, but what I think is that Cicero is, when I refer to optimates and deteriores and not optimates and populares, I think Cicero is trying to say that if you respect religion and tradition, in a way you are part of the boni kiwes. Beyond belonging to this or that political party or sympathy. And related to the Cicero and Claudius story, which is, I think it's to write a novel, from the Bonade scandal to the Procestio. I think, yes, this is obviously also a political intervention because Cicero came back and he had his house back, and I think he thought that was the end of it. And everything was okay, and the Senate said, okay, this is your house again. And then, with the responsum, Claudius takes the advantage to start the quarrel again by saying, this is because Cicero's house, pay attention to him. So Claudius, in a way, I think, tries to move Cicero away from his. I mean, in this time, at this moment, Cicero is making his way back to the political scene in Rome, back from his exile, and well, he had his house, and now he's trying to, like, rebuild himself. And Claudius is taking advantage again to put him away. So it is certainly a political intervention and a political discussion. But I think by putting religion in the center of it, I think it's a strategy to not to mention the political aspect so centrally. But he's talking about that. He's saying to the optimates, come on, you are having problems among yourselves, and then he takes advantage. And look who is taking advantage of us. This person, he's not even human. So yes, I think both of them are related.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, wow. Não. Então, a professora Valentina pediu que a professora Emília falasse um pouco sobre a dicotomia política e religião, em que aspecto haveria um envolvimento político nessa discussão religiosa do Cícero. A professora Emília respondeu que sim, que as duas coisas não estão separadas, que há um elemento político, já que Cícero estava voltando do exílio e se reconstruindo dentro da cidade de Roma, reconstruiu sua casa, estava reconstruindo sua reputação, e ela disse que provavelmente Cícero pensou que, enfim, estava tudo bem, que as coisas iam se acalmar e que ele ia retomar a vida dele normal. E logo em seguida ele recebe um ataque e aí ele se defende, mostrando que esse ataque era feito por uma pessoa que sequer era humana, né? Falei, olha quem está me atacando, olha o que ele está tentando fazer. Então havia realmente uma questão política, mas que Cícero evitou tratar disso diretamente e tratou disso como uma questão religiosa, né? Então é isso. Greg.
Thank you very much for that paper. It's a wonderful, careful reading and contextualization. And I'm very convinced by what you said about politicization. And I wonder, does this make it more difficult for us to use this speech to understand the relationship between identity and religion in Rome? Because if we're part of a conversation about authority, both within the state, do you talk to a Contio, do you talk to the Senate, whose side are you on? Then presumably these statements of Cicero about what it is that makes Romans special are related to a particular image he's creating himself for the Senate and trying to flatten the Senate to make them an authority. So could we imagine what Claudius says the next day to the conversation? How does Claudius define Roman identity in relation to religion? Obviously he doesn't say there's the bit about how there's worse people, there's deteriorate and so on, so that's not there, but can one imagine or guess a popularish version of religious identity in Rome that's distinct from Cicero's?
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that, but